Hello everyone, my name is Dustin Battles. I'm a pastor in Westchester, Ohio, and I know that this might not be the normal content on my page and YouTube channel, but no less I have been given a couple review copies of different Bibles, and I would like to review them for you. They are, or it is, I should say, the large print Thinline Bible in both the brown and the black goatskin. I will be comparing them to a few other Bibles in case you are interested. So the very first one I got from Holman, thanks to them, is the brown goatskin large print Thinline. The brown, I admit I was surprised by, in not a great way, about the quality of leather. I've heard other people describe it as spongy, but that doesn't concern me too much. It's, to me, more the stiffness. Like, you see, it's not really very flexible, especially compared to other Bibles in their series. This is probably the fourth or so different Bible I've gotten in their Handcrafted line, and they're much different in quality. I don't know if you can tell the grain there, but it's just a different feel entirely in the brown. It's much more stiff, and it's not just a matter of working it in and working it out, how flexible you've made it after use, but there really is something different about it. I'm also less than thrilled with Holman's gilt, the gilding here. You can see at the top that that's not me scratching it, that's some sort of smudge. And if this were the first Bible that I had gotten from them, it would be that's just kind of what you get, and that's understandable. But having had a number of these now, Holman's gilding is always less than stellar. I don't know why that is, but nevertheless, it seems to be less quality than other Bibles that I've had. The pages, as someone else has remarked, came a bit stuck together. It does seem to be a different quality of paper than I have in the large print verse by verse. No, what's this called? The wide margin verse by verse Bible. This was, I think, the first one that they did in the Handcrafted series, and this really is a remarkable Bible. The page quality really is just stellar, but I don't feel that same quality of leather and paper in this edition. Some have remarked that the ribbons are different lengths, and sure enough, you can tell there, and maybe this is intentional, I don't know, but the red one seems to be a centimeter longer or so than the other ones, the other two. So I wrote to Holman about this and thought maybe I had received one that was less quality than the others. So they were kind enough to send me a second review copy, and this is the black goatskin in the same exact series. And so I would think that the quality would be similar between the black verse by verse compared to the brown verse by verse. However, I was also noticing that you can probably see it in the photos that the grain is much more wider or something, and this is much more compressed. Nevertheless, I do think that the black is indeed better than the brown. It doesn't seem quite as stiff. You can see some of the texture of the leather there. It doesn't seem to be quite as stiff, but it's still not as nice as this one. The pages were not nearly as stuck together, but the gilding, as you can tell from right there, was still a little bit smudgy or something. Like, those aren't my fingerprints, that's how it came. But I do think that the black one is more quality than the brown. You can see a little bit of the page stickiness here. It's just not quite the same quality of paper, in my opinion, as the two. I'd like to also now compare it to the same line, but in the NIV. This is Zondervan's response, or actually this one came out first. So Holman is responding to NASB and NIV and other translations in releasing this one. This is actually one of my first premium Bibles that I purchased recently. This is the exact copy that I got a few years ago. The leather on this is some of the smoothest, let me say softest leather that I have ever felt in a Bible. And I even have an Allen Bible here, which everybody calls this one the Marshmallow Bible because the leather is just so soft. But I think they're very, very comparable. I do think the Allen is a bit more, a bit higher quality than this, because I noticed that as I got this copy, this was 2019, that I could tell that there was some wearing going on in the corners, and sure enough, several years in of using it pretty frequently, that the leather has started to look more worn. And that's understandable to a certain regard. However, what was disappointing is that you can see there the binding is not quality and it has already broken. So that's why I have this newer copy, because they sent me a replacement of it. However, the leather is different quality, I think, in the newer edition that I've got. I'm assuming that this is some sort of newer printing of the goatskin Thinline, because there really is, I don't know if you can see it in the video, a difference of the smoothness of the leather. This has a kind of a pebbly look, and this is more of a matte look. And that's really how I got them. It's not much of a difference of use versus non-use, because I haven't used this one at all, and I've used this one quite a bit. But going back to the CSB Thinline, you'll notice that the gilding on this is absolutely perfect. There's nothing wrong with the gilding on this. And this is the same case for the previous one that I got, even though this is several years old. So I really do think that there's some sort of quality control issue or something with the CSB Thinline. I'd also like to compare the difference between the CSB font compared to the NIV font. Both of the fonts are produced by 2K Denmark, and so it's not a matter of two different companies having different qualities, but more of a philosophy of what it is going to look like to have a font in that particular translation. And you'll notice that this is a shorter, stubbier typesetting font, whereas the CSB Thinline is a real tall, skinny. And this in the NIV I find to be much more readable than the CSB. My eyes are aging, unfortunately, and low light conditions make it hard for me to read thinner prints. And so I was pretty disappointed when I got this, that the font is harder to read. That being said, it perfectly matches the CSB Pew Bible, which I thought I had a copy of nearby, but I guess not, so that you could follow along exactly like the CSB Pew Bible, which in my case is great because I preach in the CSB, so if somebody were to buy this particular copy, it would exactly line up with the page that I'm preaching on. So if I say it's on page 803, they could turn to 803 in their Bible and not have to use the Pew Bible. There must be some sort of agreement among the publishers about how thin is thin or something, because these have the exact same number of pages, 1108, and then I'll find this one, and I compared it earlier, and it also is 1108. It's really 1109, maybe 1110. So within a page or two of difference, they are almost exactly the same. So if I had to recommend them in order, I would do so this way, as far as the thin lines are concerned. The last place would be the brown Thinline. There really does seem to be a quality difference there. Next would be the black Thinline from the CSB. And then, as long as you don't mind switching translations, the NIV does seem to be a nicer translation. I realize that they're not going to be as nice as an NIV or ESV or whatever in the Schuyler series. This retails for like $190 or something like that, and the price point for these is in, as far as original retail, is probably in the $120, $140 range. So there's going to be a difference. However, I'm still surprised by the fact that the quality between the two CSBs really is that different. And even you can kind of tell the difference as you look at the two leathers there. There really is a quality difference in my opinion. I've had a couple different CSB study Bibles in the Handcrafted series, and they also vary. I had one that was really nice, thick leather, and the next one I got was a really thin, almost felt like it was, I could feel all the pages beneath it, like it was going to crumble beneath me or something like that. So this one I think is the best Bible that Holman has put out. It's just unfortunately in the verse-by-verse format, which is amazing for preaching. Let's see if I can find a place where I have preached. Here's one. That's a place where I've preached through it. But it's not great for just reading. I find the verse-by-verse method of reading to be just lackluster. That being said, the bookmarks do seem to be, the ribbons do seem to be a higher quality in the new series compared to the old series. These are pretty thin and feel cheap, but this does seem to be a higher quality of ribbon. So that's my 2 cents, my review on the large print Thinline Handcrafted series from CSB, along with some comparisons to the NIV and a couple other Bibles. Thanks for watching.